Hey everyone, me Kevin here. Mark Meadows, Nancy Pelosi, Larry Kudlow, and the White House press secretary all just gave us updates on the next rounds of stimulus. I'm going to give you some of the bottom lines from all of these interviews fresh off the press right now. First, I want to give you a quick note that on September 29th, the coupon code for the amazing programs down below will expire, so check out those amazing programs on learning everything you need to know to get into real estate, whether you're buying your first house or not, getting started in stocks and learning how to build wealth with stocks, or making money starting a YouTube channel. Okay, Mark Meadows started off by saying the Supreme Court debate will not hurt the progress of a stimulus package. He believes the Supreme Court debate is a Senate issue. The Senate has to confirm the Supreme Court nominee. Therefore, it's not going to hold up the House of Representatives, which is where the stimulus talks are being held. Right now, the big proposal we're all keeping our fingers crossed on is the Problem Solvers Caucus proposal, and we've got multiple updates on this today. The good news about the Problem Solvers Caucus proposal is it's a $1.5 to $1.9 trillion stimulus deal, and Republicans seem, to be for this size, approximately, give or take a little bit. And that's really good. We know Mark Meadows is for it. We know Trump likes it. There's some minor changes they'd like to make. That's all good news. However, we're not seeing real progress right now, and that's what's frustrating. In fact, even though Mark Meadows has been jumping up and down about this plan, Mark Meadows is now starting to talk about alternatives. And this is not the direction we want to go. It's starting to feel like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. Because listen to this. He says, it's critical that we start looking into piecemeal options for airlines' PPP funding and enhanced unemployment if we can't come to an agreement on a broader package. Now, that doesn't mean he's for definitely doing piecemeal options. He's obviously for a broader package, but he's suggesting, let's, maybe as just a backup plan, start working on piecemeal options here, which is literally what I thought we put to death like 3 months ago, that Democrats would not go for a piecemeal option. Like, why is this even coming up again? It's so frustrating. Anyway, he also said, just to sort of evidence Republicans' flexibility, he said, if Democrats are unwilling to send stimulus checks with Donald Trump's name on them prior to the election, then just take out the stimulus checks. Now, in fairness, I don't actually think they want to take out the stimulus checks. I think Trump wants stimulus checks, Mnuchin wants them, Meadows wants them, the Democrats want them. But Mark Meadows is signaling here to Nancy Pelosi and Democrats like, hey, we're willing to flex on things if you are as well. Basically, Donald Trump has a red line at $2 trillion. Nancy Pelosi is at $2.2 trillion. The Problem Solvers Caucus proposal is $1.9 trillion. I do not understand why that little gap is so hard to cover. But anyway, let's get a little bit more insight so we can understand at least somewhat what's going on here. Mark Meadows basically threw up his hands. He says, at this point, it's on Nancy Pelosi. She's the one running the House. But he also gave us an update on this government shutdown issue. The government is going to shut down in 8 days unless we get a continuing resolution passed. He believes that we will get a deal done in the next couple of days here. So that is at least some good news. In the meantime, Larry Kudlow stated late yesterday that the economy will recover without a stimulus package, which is good if you're investing in stocks or real estate, but bad if you're waiting for the stimulus package. Larry Kudlow says we're in a self-sustaining recovery, citing strong retail sales, strong housing sales, and strong auto sales. In fact, housing smashed numbers yesterday, with houses selling for more money, faster, with fewer of them available, and lower interest rates. In fact, in Los Angeles, home prices went up 12.5% between June and September. That's like in 3 months, prices went up 12.5%. Doesn't sound sustainable, but it's crazy. Also, Larry Kudlow went on to say that the next stimulus package does have elements that are worth negotiating, such as PPP for restaurants, schools, and here it is, direct stimulus checks. These are things that can help. But he says the recovery is not contingent on that assistance package. In other words, we can get through this pandemic without a stimulus package, though every single economist ever is saying that would be a very bad idea, and it would just make the economic recovery, take even longer, possibly as long as 2025, which I'm already calling this decade the frugal decade. We'll see if that ends up being what this decade is. Also, Larry Kudlow did give us a suggestion that he does not believe the Supreme Court debate will delay any stimulus, that the negotiations are still ongoing. Okay, cool. So the candle's still lit in the negotiating room, but nobody's there. Kayleigh McEnany gave us her press conference, and she was specifically asked about stimulus and basically threw up her hands and said, yes, a phase 4 stimulus package will come, but the onus is on Nancy Pelosi in terms of when it will come. Which, in case you're confused about the phases, just remember that the 5th bill is actually phase 4. That's because we had like a phase 3 and a 3rd bill, and then we had a phase 3.5, which was a 4th bill. Congress, man. What a disaster. All right, on Nancy Pelosi. Let's talk about Nancy Pelosi's interview with the New York Times just within the last 36 hours here. And this gives us the most recent information that we have from Nancy Pelosi on what her opinion is on the Problem Solvers Caucus proposal and the next rounds of stimulus. So, Nancy Pelosi said, the people are hurting. We have to meet their needs, not just give the president a chance to say, I'm going to put my name on a check, send it out, and don't talk to me about food, rent, first responders, healthcare workers, the virus, or anything else. That's all he wants is his name on a check to go out, referring, of course, to Donald Trump. In responding to the next steps, Nancy Pelosi says, we're just going to keep making our case. And I want to tell you something you may not know. We are legislating. And if the president does not want to legislate and just wants to have his name on a check, that ain't going to happen. So in other words, Nancy Pelosi is saying, hey, look, this is the way it works around here. We're negotiating in the way that we negotiate, and that takes time. Which is unfortunate that we're hearing that, but it kind of gives us a little bit more clarity on where her head is. Because remember, she's the one who said, I'll stay in Congress all of October, even though we're supposed to go on recess in early October. Which is nice of her to say, but on the other hand, it doesn't give us any sense of urgency because she kind of just, well, I'll be here. I'll just keep doing my part. Not giving us the progress we're looking for. Kind of frustrating on both sides. It seems like we're so close, too. I mean, if we're at a potential max package on the Problem Solvers Caucus bill of $1.9 trillion and Nancy Pelosi's at 2.2, it just seems like we are ridiculously close. Now, yes, the Problem Solvers Caucus bill technically has a headline number of 1.5 trillion, but it has boosters that could bring it up to 1.9, including a second round of stimulus checks. Anyway, Nancy Pelosi went on to say, there is a fierce urgency of now, and we have, I think, a moral decision to make. She's calling this a moral debate. This is a massive problem and a challenge we face in our country. When asked about the skinny bill, Nancy Pelosi said there's no such thing as a skinny bill. A skinny bill is a Republican deal, and we have a challenge in our country to our economy that begins with the health and well-being of the American people. When asked about the Problem Solvers Caucus proposal put forth by 25 Democrats and 25 Republicans in the House, we haven't heard this before. Nancy Pelosi said, well, I have over 230 Democrats in the House. Many of them think very differently from that proposal. So 25 is interesting, but it's 25. Well, that's kind of casting shade here on the Problem Solvers Caucus proposal, unfortunately. But she goes on to say, now what is important to note is that I have a very dynamic caucus. I have a difference of opinion on almost every subject you can name and great ideas of leadership as to how we should proceed. All right, so basically everybody's got their own idea in Congress and we ain't got nothing. Oh, so frustrating. About the stimulus size, Nancy Pelosi was asked if she would go to $1.5 trillion, which is the size of the Problem Solvers Caucus proposal without the boosts. With the boosts, it takes it to $1.9 trillion. She said, no, 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 no. We came down $1 trillion to meet them, Republicans, halfway. Lower does not meet the needs of the American people. At the same time, airlines are desperately waiting for stimulus money, and Delta has today announced that they will actually delay furloughs until November in hopes that in October, Congress will get a stimulus proposal done. So, where does this leave us now? Well, at this point, it seems like Nancy Pelosi is holding her line until Republicans come up. So, the only thing that could really break the ice at this point is for some reason Nancy Pelosi being motivated to go down in price. Which, quite frankly, based on this interview and things that we're hearing about Nancy Pelosi, I don't think she's coming down in price. And maybe that's the impression she's trying to give off. But something's got to break. And it's either got to be Nancy Pelosi that's going to break, it's seeming rough right now, or Republicans will have to capitulate and just give in to get a stimulus package done before the election. I also just posted a video about whether or not the stock market and housing market will crash if Biden is elected. Now, that title sounds intense, and if you watch the entire video, you'll actually be very surprised with the results of the economists. I'm just conveying and reporting the results of those economists, but I do encourage you watch it. And it's especially important to watch that video if you hear the talk that Biden won't increase taxes on anybody making under $400,000. Unfortunately, that's not 100% true. Now, I'm not taking sides in that video, but keep in mind that Joe Biden's tax plan does include financial transactions taxes, capital gains tax increases, increases on the corporate tax rate, reductions in benefits for the estate tax, increasing the estate tax, removing the stepped up tax basis, which hurts people who own real estate, which like 67% of Americans own real estate. But even with all that said, and I'm just solely saying that to clarify, if we hear Biden say, I'm not raising taxes on anybody making less than $400K, well, that's not entirely true because it's not showing the entire picture, okay? There's a whole lot to your tax plan. Watch that video, and the results of the video will surprise you. What I just said might sound negative, but watch the results of that video, and seriously, you might go, oh wow, like I wasn't actually expecting that, especially based on the title. Check it out, it's a really good video, and again, I'm trying to come across as in the middle as possible, which every single video I still get comments from people like, Kevin, your left is showing, Kevin, your right is showing. I'm just trying to report the news, okay? Sometimes, like, the news is 60% right and 40% left. Sometimes it's flip-flopped. I think that's just what it is. I don't know. I'm just trying my best. See, I even wore blue and red today. All right, folks, thank you so much for watching. Consider sharing this if you found it helpful. Do check out that other video, and folks, we'll see you next time.